Morning, everyone. So, as you know, I'm Mark from Compass Residential, estate independent agent based in Whetstone, doing sales and lettings. I mean, my particular focus is on the sales side, and my colleague Anne-Marie does the lettings. So, I might try and convince her one day to come on here and talk about some lettings information as well. But until then, you've got me. Sorry. What I want to talk about this morning is the process of putting a property on the market. Now, there's a little bit of a jargon buster because a lot of estate agents say they will come around and do a free valuation on your property. Firstly, they have to be to use that term valuation. They actually have to be RICS registered. They're not allowed. I mean, a valuation is basically what bank surveyors do. So unless they're actually got those letters after their name, what they should be saying is they're coming around to do a market appraisal. And let's just, I'll get one thing out in the open, which you may or may not know. You don't need an estate agent to give you a market appraisal. I mean, basically an agent will do what you can do probably within 10 or 15 minutes online as well. So when it comes to a market appraisal, what I will do, I will go onto the portals. I will look at all the properties that have sold and are now registered on the land registry. It may or may not tell you what those properties are, but it gives you a very good guess, a good idea of what a property in your road has sold for, maybe what type of property it is. And sometimes you can actually go on Google Maps and look at the outside of the property as well and see how it compares to your property. The one thing agents do have on with the portals, with their membership, is generally the back-end information of properties that have been on the market and are now not on the market, how long they were on the market for, and exactly what they were. So that is really only the information that an agent has over you doing your own market appraisal online. In my opinion, what you're doing when you're asking an agent to come around, or what it should be, is meeting that person, getting to know the person that you are potentially going to be working with to sell what is possibly your biggest asset, and you need to trust that person. Now that's a big thing, and I will personally go around and I will sit with someone I've sat with people for 2.5 hours talking about their life, getting to know them, seeing what their motivation is for selling. I think that's one of the biggest reasons you employ. I would employ an agent personally. So I will go around, and I mean, I've had people who I've gone around on a first visit. We've had a chat for an hour and a half, 2 hours. I've gone back once they've decided to hopefully instruct me as their agent. I mean, one property I took on in Longman Drive in Totteridge, lovely couple. They were moving to a bungalow. They had a 3-bed detached house. And I was there for just over 2 hours talking to them. And one little fact that came up in the conversation is that I like jammy Dodgers. So I went round for the second visit to meet the daughter, who was also an estate agent but worked further up north. And I walked in and I sat down, and the wife handed me a pack of jammy Dodgers and went, "Here you go, Mark. You said you mentioned last time that you really like them, so they bought me a big pack of jammy Dodgers." And I thought, you know what, that's what it's all about. That's gaining the trust and having a great relationship with your client. And the whole process went really smoothly. They listened to what I had to say. I never pushed them into making any decisions, but I laid out the facts. And that's all you can do as an estate agent, is you can lay out the facts. Everybody I know has their own idea of what their property is worth, and that's fair enough. And when it comes to doing an appraisal, putting a price on a property, no two properties are the same. Even if they look the same from the outside, they're not the same on the inside generally. There's always little changes that have been made. So you have to take these into account when you're doing your appraisal on value. But typically, what it comes down to is the fact that once a buyer is found, a surveyor is going to come around from a lender. Now, I would say 9 times out of 10, people are getting a mortgage on a property, and that could be a 90% mortgage down to a 50% mortgage. Now, if it's a 90% mortgage, the value is very, very important, getting that right. and how it compares, because a surveyor is going to look at how your property compares to another property. So for example, if the house next door to you looks identical but sold for 700,000 and you're on the market for 800,000 and your buyer is getting a 90% mortgage, if I think there's a few out there, Steve, aren't there? They're now for 90%. So if they're getting a 90% mortgage, the value of what that buyer is paying is very, very important, because it's the risk to the lender. Lenders don't care about the buyer, they don't care about the seller, they just care about their money. And that's what the surveyor is there. He's acting on behalf of the lender. So the more deposit you put down, potentially the less evaluation will come into it, because they just need to cover the amount that's being loaned. So if you're going for this 90% mortgage, you're going to need that valuation to be spot on. They're going to have to come back and go, yes, it's worth what you are paying for it. And as I said, it's easy for you or I to go online, a little bit easier for me, as I said, to go on the back end and see what's been on the market, how long it was on for. And that's the information that I can give to people that they don't have. But typically you can all go online and you can see what properties in your road or around your road have sold for, get a guess on what it was, have a drive past the outside and do it yourself. But when it comes to actually instructing the agent, you need to look at how these agents market their properties, what the photography is like, how detailed things like floor plans are. EPCs, very important, because EPCs and floor plans need to match up. Sometimes there can be a real discrepancy between the EPC size and the floor plan, and they should be very much along the very similar lines. There's a little margin for error, but they should be very, very similar. And this can cause problems, because there have been buyers in the past. I mean, I have one myself where I had one person did the EPC, one person did the floor plan, and there was a discrepancy of 200 square foot. Now that's huge. So what happened was, I got the person who did the EPC, she went back and she did my floor plan for me. And the floor plan then came back at the matching figure to the EPC that she had done for me. So yes, I spent a bit of money getting the other floor plan done, but I was willing to forego that and spend a bit more money getting a new floor plan done to make sure that the buyer was happy, because the seller, she wasn't that bothered, but the buyer was very bothered, because they thought, well, hold on, it's actually smaller on the plan than it is on the EPC. So got that redone and came back. And so you've got to make sure all these things match up. So make sure your agent, whoever you employ, potentially uses the same person to do the EPC as they do for the floor plan, because otherwise there could be an issue further down the line. You've got to make sure that when you look, an EPC actually is an energy performance certificate. Every home needs one by law. Residential homes, there are some properties which are exempt. Listed buildings can be exempt as well, and some properties in conservation areas, and even some commercial buildings as well. Although I'm not commercial's not my thing, so I don't really want to comment on that too much. But every property typically needs an EPC. The next thing to look at, and which I find very strange, is people employ agents and the agents take photos, and the people who employ the agent, the client, has never looked at the photos of their property. Now, I'm on all the portals, I see properties that come on. There was a property that came on yesterday in Mill Hill for £1 million. It had a picture, it was a real close-up photo of the house with the car on the driveway with the number plate of the car. Now that's a real no-no. I mean, I don't understand how a professional company can do that. I mean, the picture wasn't great anyway, but at least they could have blacked out the number plate on the car. I think that's a common sense thing to do, because you don't want to give away people's details, especially with GDPR these days. But the photography is a huge thing. I mean, yes, I go out and I take nice photos on my phone of landscapes and canals and whatever, but I'm not a property photographer. So I have a professional photographer who goes in, takes photos. I mean, he'll snap everything and I will pick the ones that I like. And the thing with photography is you want to make it look as appealing as possible. I mean, there was a few years ago, it was all lifestyle photos. Oh, let's take a picture of a croissant and a coffee on a table in the kitchen. And it's like, no, that doesn't work anymore. People want to see the space. I think a few agents still use the old fisheye lens, which you can tell it's got a nice little curvature on the side. But yeah, it's such an important detail. So pictures, definitely. Floor plan, definitely. They have to be really on point. I mean, the one thing, again, I would say with pictures is less is more. There are some agents who will take on a 2-bedroom flat and they'll put 18 photos on the website. And it's like, firstly, that's way too many. Why do you need 3 angles of the same room? Which I never get that. But also, you're not leaving any mystery to the property. You're showing everything. And why is that going to actually? Why is that going to? It's not going to make me go and see a property because I can see everything. And if I looked at the road, I can do Google Street Maps. I can see where it is, what's around it, the other houses either side. There's nothing really pushing me to go and see the property. So that's a big thing as well. And then it's just the case. And then it's you look at where the agent has their property as well. So, for example, I was on Rightmove for a year. I came off Rightmove because it was ridiculously expensive for what they were doing. They weren't doing anything differently, and I get everything I need. Oh, actually, and more. I get more information through a company like Zoopla than I do through Rightmove. Their back-end materials are, in my opinion, much better. And also, they're a lesser cost. And I've never needed Rightmove. Actually, properties I've sold, I haven't sold one property through Rightmove even when I was with them. It's all come through Zoopla and on the market. So as much as I know that some people say, oh, Rightmove's our first place, our first go-to place, what you want to look at as well, you want to look at the agent's website. Now, obviously, you can speak to website designers, like we have young Richard in the room. And I do like what he does. I do like his websites. They're very good. I mean, there are agent-specific companies out there. So I used a company called Estate Apps, and they specifically do estate agents' websites. And you need to go and have a look at these agents' websites and look at the professionalism of those. So Jeremy did the wording for my website, which I was immensely grateful for. I mean, I did my own, but then he came in, changed it all. And since with that wording and with the website I've got now, it's brought in much more business, which I'm immensely grateful for. But it's how the agent presents themselves. I mean, you all know me. You know, I don't, for 27 years, 26 years, I wore a suit. I don't wear suits anymore because I don't believe that when someone is selling their property, they are looking at, yes, you look smart. That's very different to hiding behind a suit because they think that makes them more professional because they're wearing that. It's all about what you know. It's not about how you dress, although that does come into it, as I said, but it's what you know. And that's why people are employing you. They want you to come around. They want you to give them confidence that their home is a lovely home and it's worth the money that you are saying it's worth. But it's only worth that if you've got everything else to back it up. So as I said, the knowledge, the photography, the floor plans, how you present the property on the market. And then it's just down to the agent. And then it's the agent's, how the people they have on their books, the buyers they have on their books, the relationship they have with the buyers as well. So I like to build up rapport with my buyers as well. So at least when a property comes on that suits them, I'm going to phone them straight away. Or I've got a little list on my PC of people I know that if that certain property comes up, that I know that they're going to go and have a look at it and they're going to make an offer on it. So I've got a bungalow in Barnet at the moment that's going through. I've had multiple inquiries on it from other people who are going, oh, is the sale safe? And I'm going, yes, the sale's safe. But I know that those people, and I've got a list of 12 people in my office who are all looking for bungalows in that area or in or around that area. And that's a good agent. That's an agent who, and there are plenty of them. It's not just me. There are hundreds of agents like that, but there are also hundreds of agents who just go in it because they think they're going to earn a fast buck. And that's it, basically. But look, I've been doing it for 29 years. It's the long haul. It's a career. It's not just a job for me. And I rely on providing a good service and getting recommendations and referrals, as I'm sure you'll do as well. So I think it's giving that service, it's giving that attention to detail. And as I said before, it's going round on your day off maybe and doing something that another agent wouldn't do. I'm not one of those who'll put it all over social media that I went out on a Sunday and helped some guys clear a garage for a seller. I mean, it's just not the sort of thing I do, but I'll do it. I'll tell you guys I've done it because I want you to spread the word around about me. But I'm not going to just put it out there because it's just like self-appreciation, and hopefully it leads to the referrals and the recommendations. I think, you know what, Mark's a guy you can trust. He's going to have a look at his website, look at the photography he does, look at the detail, look at how he presents himself online as well, because online is where it's at. Everyone goes online now for everything, basically. I don't think, I mean, we're not allowed to send out packs at the moment. We can't send anything out, so everything I do is via email. So adhering to the rules is a good thing to notice as well, is to see how your agents, especially when they come around doing appraisal, if they're wearing a mask, if they're wearing gloves, especially in these times, making sure the guidelines are stuck to. So I make sure that there's no more than 2 people in the property. If there's more, I won't go, especially when it comes to viewing a property as well. There's no more than 2 adults can go into a property. There are some nightmare stories at the moment about people going to see properties from tenants, and tenants are going online and saying, oh, the agent came round with 6 different people from 6 different households, and we were sort of sitting in the lounge while these people were walking out of our properties. But also the tenants, people who, I mean, they weren't wearing masks. Even the tenants admitted they weren't wearing masks. Why did the agent not tell them to wear masks for the viewings? Why did the agent not tell them to go out? I mean, they shouldn't even have been in the property for the viewing. Or the other thing is, you don't, as a tenant, if you're in a property and an agent wants to show it and you feel a bit unsure, don't let them in. You don't have to let anyone into your property. Whether you're selling it, whether you're letting it, whether you're a tenant in a property, you don't have to let anyone in. So don't be bamboozled by an agent who says, well, we've been given instructions to sell the property and we want to do viewings, this, this, and this. Make sure someone's out of the property first before you go in. Make sure that if you're going to see a property, the agent has ventilated, opened the windows, has sanitizer, has masks just in case, has gloves if you want to wear gloves. So these are all things that need to be, you need to see, if you're going to look at a property, you need to make sure the agent is doing this. Now I've got a house for sale in Finchley at the moment, which is empty. I get there 5 minutes early. I open all the doors up, the windows, some of the windows, good ventilation, and I just let people walk in because there's nothing to take. It's an empty property and they don't need me in there while they're having a look around. They get a better sense of a property when they're looking around on their own. I mean, I've never been an agent who hovers around people because I don't think they're going to get the best sense of a property with an agent, someone breathing down their neck going, oh, this is the kitchen, when it's quite obvious it's the kitchen. It's silly little things like that. So pick your agent sensibly. Look at the minutiae, look at how they operate, look at how they look, and look at how they present or potentially are going to present your property online, because that's what it all comes down to. And when it comes to, as I said, when it comes to doing the back end searching for information on what your property is worth, you can do it pretty much yourself. You do not need an agent to give you necessarily a price on your property, but what you do need is to get on well with that person, because you're going to be in contact with them till the sale completes, whenever that is. And that's it, really. That's all I want to say. I'm finished.